Greetings, chess fans. Today I'll be showing you a game played in the 19th century between Karl Hamppe and Hamppe-Meitner, and this game is also regarded as the immortal draw. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the game opens up with e4, we have e5, knight c3 developing knight, and bishop c5. And already on move 3, white makes a very peculiar decision. He plays knight a4, moving his knight away from the center and immediately attacking the bishop. And this gives black the opportunity to sack this bishop. So we have bishop f2 immediately. And according to the engine, black is already slightly better here. So here king f2 is forced, and now we have queen h4. The queen enters the attack. And now there's only one move for white. If you try to play something like g3, this will result in queen e4 with a double attack on the knight and on the. So g3 is impossible, and if you play king e2, the same thing happens. We have queen to e4, attacking the king and also the knight, and this would be winning for black. So the only move in this position after queen h4 is king e3. We have queen f4, continuing pressure on the king, and now the king is forced to go to d. Again, if you go to e2, we have king d3, and now black immediately strikes in the center. We have d5, threatening to take this pawn, and we have king c3 by white avoiding this fatal capture. And in this position, the better move was to play queen e1 and then to try to harass this queen away from f4. But okay, we have king c3, and now we have queen e4, threatening to take the knight, and we have king b3. The better move in this position was to play d4, cutting the queen away from the queen side, and then maybe trying to offer exchange of queens with queen d3. That was the better idea. But okay, we have king b3, and now the idea for white is to play knight c3, a3, and to tuck the king in to b1. So black doesn't want this to happen, so he plays knight a6. So now if you play knight c3, we would have queen to b4 checkmate. So seeing this, white plays a3, protecting the b4 square, and now his idea remains the same. He play knight c3 and put his king to safety. But in this position, black decides to cross the Rubicon. So he plays queen a4. Wow, what a move. Now, if you don't take the queen, black will simply be better. So white accepts the sacrifice. We have king a4, and now knight c5. This knight protects the b3 square, so the king cannot retreat, and it is forced to go uh, further into black's territory. So we have king b4 and now a5 check. In this position we have king c5. Again, the king is going up the board. In this position, if you try to play something like king c3, this wouldn't work because of d4. The king has only one legal move. Have king c4. And in this position, after b6 protecting the knight, white couldn't escape the draw because let's say he plays something like knight f3, we would have bishop e6. The king goes to its only legal square, b5. Then we would have bishop e7, and this would simply end in a perpetual check. So that's why king c3 isn't a very good option. That's why we have king c5, and now black plays knight to e7. The idea of this move is to develop the knight, but also to protect uh, this d5 pawn. And actually, if you play something stupid with white, so let's say h3, we would have b6. The king has only one little move, and we would have bishop b5 checkmate. So with knight e7, black is actually threatening a mate in 2. That's why in this position we have bishop b5 by white, checking the king and also preventing bishop d7, and we have king d8. And now again, this position, b6 is a mate threat, so you have to do something about it. And the only move to stop this is bishop c6, and white finds it. So after bishop c6, we don't take this bishop, we first play b6 check. The king has only one move. It can go to b5. Notice it cannot go back because all of these pawns are covering the retreat squares. So we have king b5, and now we have knight to c6. And white has to be really careful in this position because but black is threatening a mate in 2. So for example, if you play something like h3, we will have knight d4, uh, king a4 is the only move, and b5 would be a really nice checkmate. So in this position, white takes the knight. We have king c6, and now black finds another crazy sacrifice. We have bishop to b7. What a move! And in this position, if you actually decide to take the bishop, uh, you would be really crazy because this is now winning for black. And the winning move is king to d7. And as it turns out, there is no way to stop rook h to b8 checkmate. You can try to prolong the game by playing queen g4, but the king would simply go to d6, and in this position, white has no checks. So he wouldn't be able to stop this. The best move would be something like this, but then black would take, and next move is mate. So, as it turns out, white cannot take the bishop in this position, so the king is forced to retreat to b5, and now we have bishop to a6. And in the game, white played king c6, but what happens if the king goes back to a4? That seems more logical, right? We'll escape and we're up a billion pieces. Well, this is actually a losing move because after this, black would play bishop to c4, cutting this escape square from the white king. And now, as b5 is a mate threat, there is no good way to stop it. So white would lose this game. b5 is unstoppable checkmate. You could try something like b4, but b5 is checkmate. So after bishop a6, white was forced to play king c6, and now we had bishop b7. The king retreated back, and the game ended in a perpetual. So yeah, I guess this was the most exciting draw you have ever seen, and I hope you enjoy it. See you next time.